Number 11 on our house inspection checklist is carpeting. Now, the thing I'd like to mention about carpeting, the most important part is you're not probably, I want to say, you're not going to be able to see the foundation cracks underneath the carpeting. The padding and the carpeting separate the crack. So unless it was a large crack, you know, something where you could actually walk on and you could feel a change in the elevation, or you could actually feel something in the carpeting, you're not going to be able to see any large cracks. So it's not uncommon to buy a house, pull the carpeting up or change the carpeting out in the future and find out that you got some big cracks, or some cracks, worse yet, that have been filled and the problem was never even addressed. And that actually happened on a house that I owned at one time. We pulled the carpeting up and there was a large crack going through the corner of the living room. And this crack was probably, it started about 10 feet away from each corner, from one corner of the living room, and ran diagonally across the room. And it was a large crack. And the cause of the crack was, again, it was excessive moisture on the front yard, or a soil compaction problem, but it was actually causing the corner of the house to sink. And at that time, it was sinking about a ½ inch. It had already sunk, and it had cracked the stucco also. So the windows around this area I had already started to see some type of structural cracks pointing the way. And one of these cracks, eventually, what I did was I replaced the front window. It had wood siding on the front, and I replaced the wood siding with stucco. And eventually this crack caused about a 3/8 of an inch crack from the top at the bottom of the window to the bottom of the floor, to the bottom of the foundation. It went from about 3/8 of an inch to a hairline crack, and that was telling me that really some serious foundation. Luckily, that house doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the person I divorced, so that will be their problem, not mine. So with carpeting, look for any staining. Some stains can't be removed. You know, if you do have them, try and remove them as soon as possible so that they don't really dry in and become permanent marks on your flooring. Look for, I'm sorry, I gotta look at my list here. Mold, mildew, and of course moisture. It's not going to be uncommon to pull away a large sofa or a bed away from the other side of a kitchen. So if you have a bedroom that's right next to a bathroom and you have a carpeted floor, and let's just say it's a bedroom and that's where you shove the bed or a dresser up against the wall. And one day you go to move this dresser and you find out that the carpeting there's just a big layer of mold on the wall and the carpeting. Now this is why we want to inspect our houses regularly. If you can move your furniture, move your large dressers, and again, if they're too large, it's going to be too much of a problem. Just make a note of it that there could be, a problem that you haven't inspected that area. But if you can move anything, move it around, and again, especially around any areas where moisture. And don't be fooled. You could actually have a roof leak where the moisture is leaking in the wall behind the drywall, or maybe you've got some type of a high gloss paint or a semi-gloss paint where the water's actually absorbing into the drywall too, but you haven't seen it yet. So don't be confused. And again, that's why you want to move large objects around. And when you inspect your home, inspect everything that you possibly can, because sometimes just one visual inspection, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to move a large sofa that's in a wall, that's backed up against a wall where there's a window leaking, and you've got your carpeting ruined because of the water, and now you've got mold, mildew, and trust me, mold and mildew will destroy the carpeting. It will actually remove the carpeting from the flooring. So if you can catch this stuff sooner than later, you're going to be better off. And it's like I said earlier about one problem compounds into other problems. You don't know that the window's leaking, and when you move your sofa away, you see that the carpet is wet, but it's not moldy yet. And maybe you have a little bit of mold on that can be cleaned off. Well, now you know that you've got to find the problem. And once you find out that it's the window, you can fix the window and then get rid of the other problem. But if you don't fix the window later on, the window is going to create problems for the window, for the structural framing, for the interior wall, the drywalling, the exterior stucco, siding, and of course, the foundation and the carpeting. If you own a house, you should inspect it regularly. But how can you inspect a home if you don't know what to look for? If you're not looking for a complicated checklist or something that wasn't written in a language that you can't understand anyway, do yourself a favor and visit this website today. The most valuable investment you have must be protected and inspected.